All right, go ahead.
Okay,
Go for it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on. It's so nice to see so many of my lovely ladies on here. And I know for those that are catching the recording, we're really excited to have you guys join us and take your time, because we know we try our hardest to try to get some great content that we're hearing about within the groups or threads that are like common things that are coming on up. So I think this is going to be a really great time for all of us to be able to come together as a team and kind of share what we feel like, how we can kind of work through those, issues, whatever it is that's coming. Oh, is that your dog? And so she's muting. So tonight we really wanted to kind of go back to the basics. I mean, a lot of the times, and for many of you that are on here, whether you have just barely started to coach or you've been a coach for like 7 years, but you're still like, I feel like I'm a little bit of a newbie still, or you haven't kind of gotten to the point that you want to see growth wise for your business and however capability you want that to be. Oh my gosh, I have like dogs everywhere too. Then this is hopefully a time for you guys to really learn for inviting. This is the meat and potatoes. Like if for anything in coaching, there's really 2 main things people have to do. Like, this business is not hard. It just takes some dedication in like what we put our focused attention on. And the number one thing is yourself, which is so amazing because we all have different jobs that we can kind of bring to light of how like we're probably doing the absolute opposite for ourselves. In this job, our number one thing is to actually do the work and commit to our own health, which coaching often can be that extra accountability to make you stay on track if you're choosing to do that. And if you're choosing to really see growth in your business, it will be that committed piece to committing to a program, committing to a nutrition plan, and sharing that. That's literally what we do as coaches. That's it, right? And then from there, what we need to do is then just invite others to join us. So if people don't have to have the most beautiful documents of what you're doing. You don't have to have the perfect picture. You don't have to have the perfect wording. If you are passionate about something that you're doing, whether it's the program that you're doing, the results you did, how you physically feel, what it's doing to you mentally, like all of that in your stories and in your posts and everything trickles out for others to say, I want that. Like, I want to feel how she's feeling right now. Because on the other side, we've all been there, right? We've probably all seen our coach or some other coaches post about something that they, has changed them because of these programs. And that's all we're doing, is we're sharing that with everyone else to give them that chance to be able to join us as well. So Dana, I think you have to screen share. No.
Let me see. I should be able to put on,
because you're the,
hold on a second. Let me see.
And you guys, literally, inviting is usually the thing that people fear the most. So they do the last, and guess what happens? It doesn't get done. Like, you would much rather go put something in your story and take time to put a video in your story, or take time to share other people's stories, or whatever it is. Like, that's going to be the first thing. I actually encourage people more than anything, if inviting is the hardest thing, make that your number one thing you do for the day. Because once you do it, first of all, it becomes that routine. You can take the stress off, and everything else that you do is like bonus. But inviting like truly should be the number one thing you do in your business. And then the rest becomes bonus points. Because truly, as we're going to go through, if you're not inviting, you won't grow. Like, this business will never go anywhere. It won't. I mean, it is kind of a numbers game a little bit, to a degree, like when we say that. And sometimes I say that kind of feels weird saying that, but it is. And we really need to invite people in the process. Is it not working for you?
Mm-hmm. No, I was just looking for you if I can click to where it says allow you to screen share, but I don't see it anymore now that
Actually,
I've updated.
I might be able to screen share. I actually see something below.
Yes,
Let me go through.
No, not mine.
I'm going to go try one
Share
thing.
screen.
Yeah, but we're talking about for
Declan, I
her.
love you trying to help mom.
All
All right, let
He's
me
making
try.
probably better with technology now than I
Yeah,
am.
it says host disabled screening. It says host disabled screening, so I can't do it.
Okay, let me look. If I can't, I'll just open it.
Open when I had been. All right, I'm gonna start walking through some of it in a second because I'm just gonna keep going with this.
Okay, I'm just gonna do it because I don't even know where it is anymore.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to the first screen and just start talking now, and then we'll just bypass. All right, guys. So inviting. Hey, Jackie's coming on too. The basics, and as we just said, the basics are the vitals, and the vitals are being a proof that the product works. And when I say that the proof that the product works, it doesn't mean that you have to be looking like a supermodel. It doesn't have to be that you've lost 50 pounds. It doesn't have to be that. Actually being right in the trenches and starting it is where we typically see people do their best, because you're just that much more relatable, because people don't really relate to perfection. It's not what people are pushing for. And so, being proof that the products work basically just means that when you're feeling your best, I'm sure we could all say that there was one program recently that we've started and we've completed and how that felt. Like, think about that for a moment. Like, what was that program that you've done recently? I mean, goodness, 75 hard. I'm looking at you, girlfriend, down below with doing 80-day obsession and 75 hard. Like, holy shit, those two together. And then you completed it and you shared every stinking day about that. And I watched it. I mean, you and Robin were tag teaming each other like crazy. Like, there is nothing more empowering, exciting. And I know for many of us, that last day when they do that final talk, when you've completed the program, many times it's waterworks, or we are just like have that emotion that then we then take that and share. And that, remember that feeling, because number one, everyone should feel that feeling. Like, it's such an empowerment feel. Like, it feels so good to feel that good about yourself. And then what we want to be able to do is kind of be sharing that process of how we got there with people. Like, when you are excited, that comes through. When you are feeling blah, everyone feels that on your screen, right? Just putting up a post to just put up a post, like, people know, like, they don't feel anything. They don't feel that connection through it. But when I'm like, holy shit, this is what I just did. I never thought I was going to be able to complete this. I cannot even begin. Maybe it's a picture of you practically in tears or are in tears when you finish that program. Maybe it's your before and after and how far that you've come, or the fact that you had to modify every single day, and you finally got to this final week and you're able to do a push-up on your own without, on your knees. Like, whatever it is, it's really important for you to pick a program and stick with it and follow it. It's not difficult. We have it all laid out for us, right? It's a matter of us choosing what that program is. Whether you choose a 1-week program like Clean Week and you stick with it, whether you stick a 21-day fixed program and you stick with it, or you do an 80-day program, which is crazy town, and you stick with it. But whatever it is, it's super important for us to go back to the basics, because if we can't invite to something that we're not doing, and we can't invite to something that we're not passionate and excited about. I have like an old dog that I'm taking care of, my dad's dog, and the thing gets like super anxious, not next to me. Super anxious, like, Will.
Aw, hi, buddy.
And I'm all done. I'm tapping out with this dog soon. It's getting a little
So
I
cute.
know.
Kelly, I switched you to the host because I think it's because this is a new laptop and maybe my system preferences aren't set to screen share on Zoom yet. So you should be able to now.
All right, so let's see if we're going down present mode. Share, standard, present. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, let me.
And then you'll just hit your right button or just click when you want to switch it.
Okay, I just need to pull this somewhere else. So I don't. Okay. All right. Hopefully that's still going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh shoot, that's not right. How do I go back? Oh my god, this dog.
Hit the left button, the left arrow.
Oh, okay. Just
or like click on the left of the screen.
All right, guys. So back to that. Obviously, Basics. And we already told that. Pick something and complete it and share that process. And that is going to be what typically gets people really excited to be able to invite to. But if you're kind of hodgepodging things a little bit, it makes it hard to know like what you're inviting to at that moment. And we have such variety in our programs. It could be just committing even to body and showing the flexibility of body, if that's where you're at right now. Like we have so many different tools, but it's really going back to how you felt when you completed something. And if you haven't completed a program yet, start there, because that's going to be what really makes you kind of feel that momentum to actually want to invite other people to join you.
I just want to chime in on that, Kelly,
Yeah.
too. Like with what I have going on health wise, it was just like sometimes you're going to feel like it's constantly defeating if you commit to something and you're not following through, or you feel like you're unable to. And that's kind of where my head was at. And you have to know yourself well enough to know when you're like, okay, I'm in that space where I feel like I'm kind of in like a personal funk. And remember that as a coach, what Kelly was saying, that like you and your journey is your number one job. And when you're not feeling right, you have to like kind of full halt everything and get back to that. It's why I chose to do the ultimate reset, because I needed something that was going to lock me in 100%, that I felt like I could be committed to making progress with, feeling excited about, because those small wins are really important. And so is the confidence that you feel from following through with something. And along those same lines too, is if you're doing something and you're not loving it and enjoying it, there is nothing wrong with stopping and starting something new. I know a lot of like new coaches have kind of come over the years and said like, I'm doing this program and I'm 2 weeks in, I'm just really not feeling it. If that's you, like, don't feel guilt or weird saying like, this just isn't for me. Like, just share about it. Like, I'm not loving this specific workout. I'm going to try something different. Because keeping that energy and that excitement about whatever it is you're committed to is really important. And just know that you have the permission to change that at any point in time. And or make like, if you make a nutrition your 100% all in focus goal, share the journey of that, because people who struggle with nutrition are going to relate to that. People who struggle with getting active, they're going to relate more to the things that you're sharing about fitness. Right, there's different people connect to different things, so if you're sharing different facets and just being honest about where you're at, you're always going to find people connect to that more.
And so who do we invite to? And I think this kind of goes back to, once again, like when you are doing a program and you're sharing about it, you always have a funnel of people typically that you can kind of connect with. If you do a post once or twice a week, your volume of people that you can connect to really is decreased. So that's where sometimes people really do struggle and say, I don't even know who to invite to anymore. It was the same 10 people that liked my thing on Monday and the same 10 people that liked it on Saturday. Well, once again, like there's not, it's the frequency and consistency of you sharing about it. And that's why if you pick something and you're sharing about it each day as you're doing it, whether it's a 5-day program, 7-day program, whatever it is, that increases the volume of people you can connect with. So always we're going to start with, who are the people that you surround yourself with that see physically how you're feeling from these programs, like see a change in you. It's, your friends, your family, your best friends, your cousin, your sister, coworkers, anyone that is your network and your circle of people that you're connected to in any way. They already love you. They already trust you. They already know if Marissa feels this passionate about this program and see this great results. If Jenny has felt this way, then I do too. Like I trust in her and that. So that's your simple, like easier kind of list of people. And I think if you probably were to even take, 30 minutes and sit down, you could go through your email, you could go through your text messaging of all the people that you commonly are contact with. You can think of people that you work with, people that like are in the mom group, maybe kind of circle or play dates and things like that. And you could probably come up with a pretty large amount of people that you think could benefit from any sort of nutrition support, any sort of fitness support, and any sort of community support. Because to be fair, people don't have to just be looking for weight loss to be looking for these things. Some people might be looking for weight gain. Some people might be looking to just take some ownership for their own health because they're stuck at home all day with their kids and they're losing their marbles and they need an out. Some people just need to mentally do something for themselves. Like, we can't put into words for people why they would benefit from it, but we at least need to let them know it's an option to them, because it could be something that they're looking for. So what you could do is just have a list of all these people, rattle them off. You could lay in bed, rattle off all these people that you think would be beneficial for it. And then just start inviting to them. Like, maybe it's as simple as, if you have a list of 50, say, my job is I'm going to reach out to these 50 people before the end of the week, and keep it simple. Maybe you're inviting to 2 or 3 people a day. We can all invite to 2 to 3 people a day, because inviting, really, once we kind of share what we say, takes like 2 seconds. I invite on the toilet, guys. I'm done. I'm just going to let it be. I let it go. I invite in the message line of going to get my kids at gymnastics. Like, I invite when I'm waiting for my kids outside of school. I invite on my way home from work. I invite to work. Like, I use my pockets of time very wisely, and I have it very just mapped out of, I have 30 minutes and it doesn't disrupt my family time, and I'm going to crunch a lot of shit here, and it's going to be a lot of invites or follow-ups, as we'll get into. Anyone?
Kelly, I want to
Yeah.
add on to this real quick, what I was saying earlier when we were talking. I'm just like curious, by a show of hands, if you've ever sat down to invite and you're like, okay, they told me to like pop in my Instagram story. So you like open who's following your story and you're like, okay, I'm going to invite this person. And then you go back out to your post and I'm like, I'm going to go invite this girl. And then you're over on Facebook and you're like, I'm going to invite that girl who liked my post this morning. And like, before you know it, an hour has gone by and maybe there's like 3 people that you've talked to. Has anybody ever done this?
Wow. Wow.
So I was saying that even like, I literally just started at the end of last month. Again, I got a brand new notebook and I wrote a list of 200 to 300 people that I was going to start reaching out to at the beginning of this month. Because even whether you're brand new or you've been at this for a while, I know for me, when I have a list of people like right in front of me, when I sit down and I'm like, I get to the invite section, I'm like, I know exactly who I'm going to go talk to that day. There's no questioning. There's no wondering. There's no searching. Like, who should it be? Got to go scope my Instagram. If you take like, say 20 minutes on a Sunday and you just like go through your posts, go through your stories, like wherever you're connecting with people from, and write out a simple list for yourself, it will make it so much easier when you actually sit down to do them, because you don't have to think about where you're finding these people or why you're talking to them. You can even jot a little note next to it that says like, liked my post on Monday about overcoming excuses or about working out early in the morning or whatever. But working from a list is so helpful. And I just shared in the team page today, actually found it where I get my challenge group guides from, but it's a contact list. That it's a printable contact list that you can print out if that's something you're needing or wanting a little more structure to. And you can just go through and write the name down, like what the date is that you kind of connected with them from, where you're talking to them, if it's like Facebook or Instagram. And just my best suggestion is keep track of that. If you track it online, that's fine, or track it in a notebook. I still have notebooks, I kid you not, from like 7, 8 years ago, of people that, like, if they're still my friend and they still like things and they never said yes over the years, like I'll still go back and talk to them now. It never hurts you to have keep track of names. And furthermore, social media, if something ever happened to our inboxes, God forbid, like you have to have some way of knowing all of the people that you're connected to. So collecting emails is also a very good idea.
And of course, anyone that has liked or commented on any of your posts, they're fair game. They're basically giving you permission at that point. You're not bothering them. They took the time out of their day to comment And that takes a lot, right? When people comment, because that takes work and thought process. Like they're really like in it if they're commenting, or for them to just stop for a moment and read what you had to say and actually like it. So that like warrants a like invite or thank you, just connecting with them. Because once again, it's kind of building that connection. So I'll just go to my post, and this is what you could do. You could literally just go to your post, from this past week, and just start that list and write all those people right there and just say, look, there was 50 people that commented or liked. So my job this week, my huge focus is going to be to reach out to every one of those 50 people. And you could break it out, like I said, and do 5 people a day. You can do 10 people a day. You can do 20 people in one, whatever works for your schedule. But it makes that a lot easier to be able to do, and keeping lists of who you spoke to. So, did they respond? Have they not? And then people in your stories. If you look to see in your stories who's following, who's watching you, once again, they're choosing to watch you for a reason. They know what you're doing, but they're deciding to go to your stories instead of bypassing it. So reaching out with simple messages, and I'll share in a few like what I say. It's not anything that's going to be yucky. It's how I would want to be invited. And then that's where typically conversations start. Even if 90% of them are going to be no's, there's actually a lot that aren't. And then you can also go and now this is obviously for people that have been around for a little bit, but you can go into your downline. This is where I start my month. At the last week of every single month, I'm looking to plan ahead for the next month. And I go into my downline and I look to see whose bod is coming up. If their bod is coming up for $99 in 3 weeks, you bet your ass I'm going to tell them that their new promo that is taking place is like right now for this month for $139. You can get this package, with all these different options, or we can just let it be with your BOD renewal. A lot of people want that new package. They want that new program. They want the new gear. They love Energize. They want collagen. Like, I love that they added that as a combo, and they want that. Now, the downside is only customers do you get extra SC points for. If they've already gotten a challenge pack in the past, it's only customers that you can get like duplicate SC points. Or, you still get income. I mean, they're still getting a lot of stuff when it comes to the preferred customer or coach, but the customers are the ones where you can get duplicate after it's been 6 months. So sometimes that's how I knock out SC right off the bat, is just by doing that alone. So don't forget those bod renewals, and don't be shy about asking them about even a month, ahead, because if there's a new program, like the next one that's coming out next month, like got, the new protocol, a lot of people might be really interested in that. So even though it's March, reach out for your people in April or May, and just say, hey, I just want to let you know your bod's coming on up. They don't care about a month less. Like, if anything, they're thinking about everything they're going to gain. So this is kind of where we start when it comes to who we're inviting to. And I just want to kind of share, for me personally, I never cold invite. That's never something that I like doing. Some people do wonderful with that. I don't cold invite, meaning I would never, ever reach out to someone that I've never spoken to, never had a conversation in Messenger, never gone text, nothing. I would never write them and ask them to join me, because that seems salesy and yucky, and that's not how I roll, and I would never want my coaches to feel like that either. And as you can see, they're all connections. Somehow it's something that has been on my page, and that's where the combos have started.
Kelly, I just want to chime in on that too about the cold messaging thing. We have had some coaches on our team actually have a lot of success doing cold messaging. I don't know if it's like in particular more direct personalities or like what that is. I think I've tried pretty much everything from inviting over the years. It's never worked for me. I also think it matters how you feel on the receiving end of messages, because we all get messages about, makeup, or like I get them for the Youthborn books parties like all the time. And it's probably somebody I haven't talked to in like 3 years. And I get a message and it's like, invite one of my books. You want to join this group? And I'm never offended. But at the same time, I know I don't personally like getting messages like that. So just think about that. Like, in your mind, what type of messages do you enjoy getting from other people whether it's like you just followed their page and they reach out and say, hey, or you're engaging in their content and they reach out and connect with you. Like, what do you like hearing from other people? Because that's a good kind of insight on what you may want to be saying to the people you're connecting with.
And everyone always, has this, no one wants to feel like they're selling anything. And I think that's, you really have to flip the switch on kind of saying, we're not here to sell anything. We're here to share, and we're here to help other people. And it, once again, comes down to how you're doing it. Like, if you are so excited about what you're doing to help this person that just had all this amazing success, like, it's so exciting to see that happen when challengers write you, oh my God, I just fit into those jeans that I haven't been into since before I had my baby, or I've lost this weight, or I've come off my cholesterol meds, or I've done this, or I've done that, I've got my labs down. Like, those are so exciting to have. And that's what you're gonna kind of have to hold on to. But you do need to kind of, I know this is hard, especially as you're new, but having a little bit of that confidence, and it comes over time. None of us had that initially. But you got to feel like you're inviting them to the most kick-ass party on the block. Like you do. As I heard someone earlier in one of, the podcasts I listened to, she was saying, if someone across the street is literally saying that they, anyone welcome, and you hear a raging party going across the street and you want to go so bad, there's always going to be those people that will say, well, it says anyone welcome. I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to go, make myself at home and go be a part of the party. But most of the people in this world are going to be like, hell no, I'm not going to go do that. Like, I need you to send me that message or send me a text message to say, I'm having this party. Would you want to come? Like, do you want to come and join me? And it's the same mentality as what we're doing, is we need to just say, I'm taking my time to reach out to you because I think this could benefit you, and share what you have to say to them. And you always have to go back to, like, how long did it take you to sign up? How long did it take you to sign up as a coach? How long did it take you to sign up to do these programs? I know, I was like, it took me like 1,001 years to do it. Like, I said no forever. I Facebook stalked Laura. I watched. I was like, this is great. She wrote me. I'm like, don't bother me. No, ghosted her, like, did everything. And then finally something, as I kept watching, something one night clicked at that 10 o'clock at night that made me walk out and say, Brian, I'm doing this. And then he said, okay, let's do it together. Like, it was literally as simple as that. Something that just changed because I was just ready at that moment. And so same type of thing that comes from the coaching. It took the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. The follow-up is where it comes. And I think they say it takes like 5 to 7 kind of touch points or invites before someone actually says yes. So if someone says yes to you the first or second time, you're like insanely amazing, because that's typically not normal. So just go into it that even Angie Belmere, top coach, she gets no's all the damn time. And she probably, the difference is that they said no, and she just kept following up with them, and she kept sharing, and she kept showing results. And that's literally what she did to probably get to that point. And then her viewing just continued to kind of get bigger and bigger. So
I want to add in, like, we were talking about this earlier, the mindset of this is, it's super easy, especially as a new coach. Like, it takes you so much courage to like work up that, like, to like send out that invite, and then God forbid you get ghosted, or somebody says something nasty about network marketing, or they've had a really bad experience before, or they're like, I don't want to drink shakes, that's disgusting, or like, good for you, but that's not for me. Like, there's so many different things that people can come back with. Is to remember, like, that's their own perspective of whatever they have going on. And if they're telling you no, we've always kind of said, like, it typically means not now. That was the same for me too. I ghosted Lisa, like, back and forth for like 4 months before I said yes. And it had nothing to do with her. It had nothing to do with the fitness program she was inviting me to, or drinking a shake, or a community, or any of that. It 100% had to do with the headset I was in, and that I was not really ready to do the work and embrace change until I was. And so you have to remember, when you're sending those and you are getting ghosted, you are getting no's, you're getting objections, like, don't take that personally, because if you take it personally, it gets in your head, and then you start getting more nervous, and then you won't be inviting, or at least inviting with the same excitement, So just kind of like take it with a grain of salt what the responses are and plan on responding accordingly and try not to take anything personally.
Can I just add, because that all just aligned with my card pull this morning. My card pull this morning was, it is always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. And that is like so ghosting. When you send that invite and you don't hear back, your head creates all of these scenarios of what they have going on. And like, really, you just do another follow-up. Get the actual answer from them. So just wanted to throw that out there because it just paralleled too perfectly.
Yeah, that's so true. We like unravel in Bob Halig's trainings, he calls it red light stories or green light stories. Like where when you unravel and you create those fake stories of like why somebody said no and why they objected to you or like why they're skeptical, it's a red light story because you're literally giving yourself a red light, a stoplight versus like a green light of being like, maybe they're really just busy or overwhelmed, or maybe they've tried something that didn't work. Like you really never know. I love that.
So we all probably have different takes on what we do. And this is why I love to have team calls coming back, because I think that everyone can kind of connect with different people, their different styles. And just because I do one thing doesn't mean that's kind of going to vibe with you. And that's totally cool. You have to see, once again, what feels best to you and how you would sound when you do your inviting. This is something that has just worked for me. And once again, I'm not rocking the boat. It's working, I'm keeping with it. But I have two replies that are in my saved things in Instagram. I put them in there under the quick replies and they're saved. So I don't have to type these out each time and I just press send. I just change it up to make sure I always include their name. Always, always, always. I never, hey girl. And the first is always going to be whenever they have a new friend request, a non-friend request, but they're following my page on Instagram. I mostly work Instagram, so that's why I kind of speak to that. But I literally will just say to them, if I've seen that they've now started to follow me, thank you so much for the follow. I love connecting and meeting new people from all over. I live just outside of Boston and I'm a mom of 10-year-old son and 13-year-old daughter, registered nurse and diabetes educator. Where are you from? And I just put a heart. That's literally all I send to people when I see that they are now following me. Once again, it's my way to connect with people. I'm not talking about Beachbody. I'm not talking about anything. I'm just saying thank you so much for the follow. And then it typically comes back with a fair amount of people that start talking. Oh, that's so awesome. My family is right outside of Boston. Where? Like natural conversations just start forming. Oh, you're a diabetes educator. Oh my God. Like we just start talking. That's literally what I do when it comes to my first convo with them most of the times. And then when it comes to my invite. So anyone, once again, if I go back, liking my stuff, commenting on my stuff, following my stories, I see their face popping up quite a bit in my stories, then I am going to go right into this. And it's literally going to be, hi, Sarah. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you so much for the continued support on my posts and stories. I appreciate it so much. I love sharing my journey to inspire others. So thank you so much for watching. Are you at all interested in learning about my private wellness accountability group this month to work on your own fitness goals or what I do as a coach? I'm putting both those in because I want them to know they have the opportunity to coach or the opportunity to be as a challenger. Because once again, those are two important things. Or were you just being awesome, catching a glimpse of my journey and being super supportive? And then I usually do and I throw in a couple emojis that are just like me, kind of like silly face or whatever. From there, do I still get people that ghost me? Yep. I don't take heart to that. Honestly, I probably don't even realize that they didn't ghost me because I just send it to people and I'm like, whatever, if they reply, they reply. When people reply, I either will get, no, I got my own thing going on. I'm not interested, but I love watching your journey and you're super inspiring. All right, cool. I'm just going to probably put them down to just continue engaging with them. And I'm going to continue looking at their stuff, looking at their content, going back and forth on things, commenting on their stuff. Once again, building that connection, especially if it's someone that really looks like it's my jam. Or I get people that will say, I wasn't interested, but now that you asked me, I am curious. Can you tell me more? That's all it took. They were never going to reach out to me. It took me reaching out to them. And that's it. Like, that is as simple as my conversations start off at. And then from there, I let them do the talking. I ask simple questions. If they're interested, my next thing back, if they say, tell me more, I then will probably go back at something and I voice message everything. I think for so many, when they hear it in our voice, they hear us mess up, they hear us just excited, they hear us silly, they hear us as a real person. It just makes it more real instead of that scripted kind of feel. I will probably at that point say something like, oh, I'm super excited that you're interested. Like, would so, love to be able to have the chance to work with you. Can you tell me, can you give me a little bit more information about what would be your overall goals of starting a fitness and nutrition, journey? Or what do you feel like your biggest struggles are on why you aren't where you would want to be right now? And then I kind of just stop. And then typically they start they're giving me all the information that they're struggling with. And then I can mentally pick apart what they need compared to what we have. And then I'm like, oh, this program I think would be so awesome because, and then I start sharing more about it. So this is why it's super simple. And Dana, you might have a different approach. Ray, you might have a different approach. This is where don't overcomplicate things. Some might say actually that mine is way too in depth and that I should keep it even more simple. But it just worked and it kind of is how I would say things. And so I just kind of keep with it. Have you guys found any other?
I'm going to add, mine are very similar, but when it gets to the question part, I do send a form. I've been using that form for a while now. I know some people have said they work really well for them and some people have said they don't. I like it. I like it because it collects their email, it collects their information. It's short enough that it takes less than 10 minutes, but it's long enough that I have a really in-depth, I can share it in the team page if you've never seen it. But it's literally like, how's your sleep? How's your energy levels? Like, when it comes to nutrition, do you prefer structure or do you prefer freedom and flexibility? So I know I'm right off the bat, Ultimate Portion Fix or To Be Mindset. So it helps me easily kind of connect and come up with what I think the best suggestion would be for them. So then when I send them back a response email, I can send those links with those to them. I have a girl right now who just had a baby, who's looking for, to dive into nutrition until she gets the green light to dive into fitness again. So I was able to share that To Be Pregnant video with her about that nutrition plan. So I think either way you do it, you ask those simple questions, we can share them with you if you're not sure what to ask, or consider trying a form, because to me it feels very professional to send someone something like that, where it's here's 10 questions of then I can suggest what I think is going to be a best fit. But I guess the bottom line is figuring out the way that it works for you, so you have a flow going in your conversations.
And I know one of the things we want to kind of talk about is some of those, objections, because we all get them, number one. Even people that are whatever, $1 million club and Beachbody, they still get them. Most of their things are objections. And it's how we kind of work through the objections that I think are really important, because like I said, you probably all said objections when you first started. I know I was a major Shakeology objector. I was super not for it. I didn't even do the nutrition plan for a couple of months when I started. I did everything wrong. So I think I can probably speak to that. And they have this, thought is what is that? Feel, felt, found, of when people talk about their concerns and what they're doing, I always want to feel I understand, I feel where you're at type thing. This is kind of where I got through. So one of the big objections that I hear people will say is, I'm not into shakes, I like to eat my food, those types of comments when I talk about Shakeology. Now, nice. They don't have to do Shakeology, right? Then we're not forcing them to do anything. We're just laying out kind of the benefits. When I get the objection of I am just not a shake person, or I've tried them and I don't like them and blah, 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 I always go into it with my personal opinion. And it was that I'll say, hey, like, I hear you. I feel like I tried every protein shake out there. I loved them, but I never really felt any big difference with them. And so I was super against starting Shakeology. It was actually the biggest reason I wasn't going to do these programs. And I literally am saying this word for word, but I was at a place where I really wanted results. Like, I really needed desperately results. And I knew that if I wasn't following the program the way it was designed, I knew it was going to be that much harder to reach those results. So I gave myself 2 months to commit and do the program as it was designed. And if it worked, I would stay. And if it didn't, I would stop. And I said, and 7 years later, I'm here. Like, those are the types of things that I'm sharing with people. Once again, I'm telling them, look, I was a doubter just like you, and here I am still. Like, people can change, or the cost is too much. I hear you on that one too. Another reason why I was saying no. My plan was to just cancel after, so I didn't have to worry about the cost. Been there and done that. However, what I did notice when I finally started doing it was that this really isn't a protein shake at all. This, and just side note, like, we eat way too much damn protein in our damn country. That's like a whole different level. And we aren't protein deficient. We are nutrient deficient big time. Like, you ask a person if they got all their fruits and vegetables and grains and everything they eat today, I guarantee you everyone is going to say dead fat no, because we don't. We probably got well over our protein allotment. We don't need that volume of it. So I will then say to people, what I really have noticed when I finally decided to give Shakeology a go was that it keeps me so full. Like, I'm finally not snacking between patients. I'm finally feeling full when I have breakfast and I can get through in the clinic until lunchtime. I'm finally not eating all of my kids' snacks in the afternoon when I get home and get the hungry horrors. Like, I start speaking to the fact that Shakeology has really actually helped me save, because I'm not eating all the crap and going to the vending machines and bringing the extra snacks that I would normally bring, because I can be held. I also then share with them that my energy level, I'll joke and I'll say, you see me in my stories, I never stop going. Like, I am like an Energizer bunny. I'm like, Energizes help with that as well as Shakeology. But I'm like, Shakeology helps me really just feel that much more energy. And as a busy mom, like, I need it. Like, we all can benefit from that. So I just start talking about these things and just tell them, like, this is how I feel, it might be worth trying, and then you can experience it yourself and you make the decision on if it's something that's helpful for you. But do me a favor, try for a month. It comes with this. Or, once again, they can do whatever package they want. But if I notice that they're having troubles, getting a meal in, or they're resulting in fast food, or they're struggling, with a lot of different of the nutritional issues, then I usually say, this might be that thing that really kind of helps you. Dana, I don't know how you speak to, that kind of an objection.
I get a lot that are interested in the fitness and nutrition component, and they're like, but I don't want Shakeology, but I already drink Arbonne or whatever it is. I always just say, like, I'm very upfront about it. I just say, I have coached hundreds of people over the years, and there is a big difference between the people who do a program and a nutrition plan and drink Shakeology versus the ones who don't. And to a lot of them, I explain, when you're working to lose weight and you're typically cutting back on, say, what you're eating in a day, right? You're also cutting back on nutrition. Shakeology comes in to be that thing that allows you to, like, curb the cravings, keep your energy high, that helps you stay on track while you're learning these healthier habits. If you get to the end of the month and you don't love it, that's totally fine. You don't have to continue. But I strongly suggest that for that first month, while you're trying to get the hang of following a nutrition plan and a fitness plan, that you try and see the difference in how you feel. And I really don't ever have anybody object anything to that. And if they mention something specific, because in my form, I ask questions that say, like, do you struggle with cravings? Do you struggle with energy? Do you struggle with digestion? And anytime someone says yes to any one of those things, that's the insight into explaining to them why Shakeology would be beneficial. So I think on the backside of, instead of just combating the objections, it's kind of asking the right questions that are going to give you the answers that help you explain why Shakeology is going to benefit them specifically.
And the other thing, guys, is once again, maybe Shakeology isn't their thing. You know, we do have an incredible performance line. You know, maybe you are like the biggest Recover and Energize fan, and that's what you can speak to the best. You know, and if it seems like they could kind of go either way, what I like to do is I sometimes then, if they're going to do that, I send them some samples of Shakeology. You know, and I give them the recipes to be able to have them kind of how I like to make it, and then let them know so then they could try it, and then maybe that's something they end up really liking. I always kind of keep some samples on hand of both, and so they have that option. And people nowadays are on a wicked collagen kick, right?
Yeah.
It's like
I was
everywhere.
gonna say the Go and Glow packs too.
It's
yeah.
going crazy. Energize and that, like, it's a great option for people. So there is options for people, and that's why kind of listening to them and kind of what they're feeling. Another, you know, common thing that people might talk about is just price, the price objection. You know what? I don't have the money. It's too expensive. You know, I can't do it. Once again, everyone does that. That's roadblocks. And when people talk about the price objections with me, I always tell them, I'm like, no worries. Like, I totally get it. Like, especially hearing them out where they've kind of been and what's going on. Sometimes they might truly have a major, like, there might be some major financial stuff going on right now for them. And this is not something that they can take on right now. And I'm just there to kind of listen. And then, you know, I will let them know of like, we could even get you in to do a 2-week trial for free. And if you don't like it, you know, you stop. You know, maybe something they would try. So they just do 3-month BOD, but we got them moving. We got them in a community that then might help them down the road. Like, these are the things that you just start listening to them and where they're at. But if maybe ask them, you know, like, talk to me a little more, like, do you think financially, you know, you'd be able to do, you know, is 100, you know, sharing pricing with them once you get to that point, you know, see, is it the follow-up that's the issue? Is the initial that's the issue? But typically, a lot of people are spending a lot of money either at their gym, you know, that they're never going to. So maybe they could actually save by stopping the gym membership that they're never going to and actually doing the workouts at home and getting that results or getting the nutrition component. Maybe, I don't know why I'm blanking on this one tonight.
I will add to this one. I think for a really long time, I was always quick to suggest the coaching opportunity when I would get a money objection, especially if it was someone that I knew really wanted to get started, but continuously, like, follow up after follow up, they still, like, money was always the ongoing issue. Definitely coaching can be a really good suggestion. It can be something where they're sharing their journey and earning extra income. And it's kind of like, if there's a will, there's a way, right? But I think we have so many options now that it's typically more about finding, like Kelly's saying, asking the questions to figure out what is something that can serve them, that is doable for them where they're at right now, whether it's a 3-month membership. Like, now we have the body pass where they can try body workouts for $7. Anyone can afford $7, right? And I think sometimes behind, like, yes, sometimes it really is a financial thing, but sometimes it's just a fear thing. It's like, I don't know what I'm getting into. I don't know if I'm going to like those workouts. This community seems kind of like a lot for me. I'm not really a poster. I don't want to engage in a community. You never really know what's behind the reason that people are giving you that answer. So when you're giving them a handful of other options, like, well, if you're not ready to commit to like a full program and a package, would you consider trying a 7-day pass or a $7 pass to try the workouts, and then suggest 2 or 3 workouts based on talking to them that you think they might really enjoy? Like, is it bar? Is it lifting? And pick a couple workouts you think they might really like, get them engaged with that day pass, and then see where it goes and check back in on them again. Because I think that's such a huge thing for us to have, kind of like a sneak peek now that we never had before. We really didn't have a way for people to just like kind of take a peek without plunging all in, and now we do.
We can get into some other ones at the end, and maybe even for those that want to kind of pull out your phone to some of the combos that you have going on right now for people that you're not even sure how to respond. For those that want to, like, we're happy to stay on like at the end and kind of help you work through some of those as well. But I did want to make sure for those that are going to have to, hop off at certain times. One of the questions that I did get in one of the groups was saying, okay, I've reached out to people, but like, when I don't want to like bother them. So at what point, like how frequently should I reach out? And like, what are you giving it for time? Once again, this could be very individual. But if you've invited them and they've asked you for information, I typically let it be for like 3 or 4 days once I've sent them information, because shockingly, some people don't go on social media all the time. So they might not actually see that information that you've gotten to them, or maybe they took a look really fast and they just haven't gotten to get through it yet. So I try to give it a good, 3 or 4 days and let it be. Obviously on like Instagram and things like that, you can often see if they've even seen it. Because obviously their little bubble kind of pops up. If they haven't seen it, then once again, they haven't seen it. But I would just probably reach out in like 3 or 4 days. Once again, I typically voice message. And I would say something like, hey, Sarah, I hope you're doing well. This week has been so crazy town. I'm so sorry that I haven't gotten back to you yet. I just wanted to check back in and see if you had any questions on any information I sent the other day. I'm like, give me a shout, whatever it is. And then I wait. And once again, I probably would wait another 3, 4, days. And my hope is that she would respond back if she's really interested. And if she hasn't responded back, and it's probably been like a week, I might shoot, one more message and just saying, like, hey girl, like well, hey Sarah, I always say their name. Like, I really don't want to be a bother at all. Like, what do I say? I'm trying to think about this. I typically will say things like, I just want to check back in, one more time. I definitely don't want to be a bother at all to you. If right now is just not a good time, just give me the word and I will not bother you, and let me know. Like, I'm happy to put you on my list to like connect with next month when we open our next group. Or, if you did want to join us this, for this group, then, let me know. Like, I kind of like always put it back on myself. Number one, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you, so they don't feel like it's on them. And then number two, hey, I give them an out that if it really now is not a good time, they don't have to feel bad, but just like respond to me, let me know so that I can like not bug them, or, make sure I help them. If I get no response after the invite and they've said nothing, I just wait. I'm not going to go invite them again at that moment. Like, that's annoying. I would be annoyed. So I would just probably put them like on a list, or maybe, just write their name down once again, and maybe connect back up with them in a month. But I would probably start to engage a little bit more too, especially if there's someone that I think could benefit from this, or we've had other conversations. I would probably, make sure I'm starting to engage on their posts, or, commenting on their stories, or once again, kind of building that connection with them that is separate from Beachbody. And that way, when I do go back to invite them again, then there's a little bit of that connection that has started to form. And they might be more apt to actually respond that time. And there's going to be people that will never respond.
I do the same too, Kelly, like throw myself under the bus, and I'm always like, hey, like I never want to annoy, but I know sometimes I see things and get busy and forget to respond, because I actually do, especially if it's a text and I'm in the middle of something with like kids. And you wouldn't believe how many people actually write back and go, oh my gosh, like I was getting my kid in the tub, or like, oh my gosh, I was making dinner and I totally forgot. And they're glad that you came back to the message. And I think like that mindset with when you're following up, I don't, it's like, Kelly, we've like said this a million times, I feel like, but it's, to me, it shows people that you care enough to go back to conversations. It's not just like, I'm going to shoot out something real quick and then I'm going to forget about you because I was really looking to make a quick buck. It's actually like, I'm taking time out of my busy daily life to come back and check back in on you again, because I have something really valuable that I want to share with you. And so, really just thinking about when you're doing those follow-ups, instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to annoy somebody, just thinking like, I'm giving them another opportunity to do something that could really change things for them, and embrace it from like that excited perspective that maybe this is the time you could really help them.
And it always, once again, goes back to, again, I guarantee you didn't sign up when your coach asked you, right? So like, imagine where you would be right now if your coach didn't keep following up. Like, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be where you are in your health journey. You wouldn't feel where you physically are right now. You wouldn't, like, there's so many things in your life that probably would be very different because, but because your coach took the time of thinking of you and taking their time to keeping you on that list to be able to keep calling and connecting with and saying, hey girl, like, I'm here, I'm still here, I'm still here. I sometimes will say in my things, like, clearly you can see that when people are interested in like any of my groups and programs, like, I never give up on them. I'm like, even if you're with me, like, until the day, like, I'm not going to give up you until the day that you're ready. Just to know that, like, my job as a coach is to keep being here, showing you that I'm here. So until you tell me to just stop writing you, and I'm like, but I hope you don't, haha, something.
Block me.
Like, please don't. Then I'm like, I will always be here whenever you're ready. And I get it. Sometimes it's just not the right time, and it goes back to the statement, following up with your potential customers. It shows them that they are really important, because think about all the people that are in your inbox that have sent a message to you that talked about being an ambassador for this, or getting that outfit, or getting those makeup, or getting whatever it is that they're selling, which is wonderful. They're passionate about it. But if they were actually passionate about it, they would actually follow up and write you again. The fact that they're writing you one time and then never connecting with you again, that's salesy and that's sleazy. And that's not what we're trying to accomplish. We're letting people know this is here for you when you're ready. And just, I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep asking you to join because I love this that much. And I really think you will too. And it's kind of, that's the follow-up. And every Beachbody coach will tell you that 99.9% of their business is in follow-ups. They can post all they want, have 100,000, followers. The posts definitely aren't the things that get people to follow up, unless you're now like the number one person in the world. And then but that takes forever to get to that point.
I always think about this too. Like, when you look at like top coaches in the company, or you go to like events like Summit or Super Saturday, and you look around, like, you can't really feel that when you're at home behind your computer screen. But when you get to things and you see how many people are part of this community and love this community, and you really step back and think, like, someone invited every single person in these rooms. Like, someone invited every single person on this call, followed up with every single person on this call, like, said no for however long for all of us to be here. Just like, think how cool that is, that the next person you follow up with might be your next like rock star coach, or the person who loses 80 pounds, or, just like falls in love with us like we do. So.
And obviously if someone says it's just not a good time, like I'm not here to like try to like push people to do something they're not ready to. I often will just go simple back. It's like, hey, sir, I totally get it. Life just sounds super crazy for you right now. Would you mind if I reached out to you, when we open up our group for next month, to see if timing's better for you? And just simple things like that. Would you mind? And sometimes they'll be like, you know what? Reach out. I have a lot going on in these next couple of months, but like, give me a shout, like in May, give me a shout, whatever it is. And then I put them on my list, and then I reach out to them, or I put in my streak an email alert that says, reach out to this person, and once again, I'm just asking, hey, I can be there for you. But I get it. Like, I get where you're at right now. And then we'll go from there. And that's kind of like when it comes to the frequency, or like when I reach out, there's not 100% science. I always, in my Instagram, when I've had sent information out or had conversations, I just do that flag option so that they become bold. So I easily can see as I'm going through messaging, like who I've been in conversations with. So it's easier for me to kind of visually go back to, in addition to writing it down. Because once again, you could lose your whole Instagram account and then have nothing.
I just want to say another really good thing to do in follow-ups. It's super simple. It doesn't take any time, but it like further helps you build that connection. Is like sending them something free, whether it's like a meal plan that you have from your group that week, or like a link to an audiobook that you read when you were at a specific time in your life where shit was really busy or you were really stressed. Just like offering them something that might help them where they're at right now that has nothing to do with like them committing to anything Beachbody wise, is a really cool way to like share value with someone and further build that connection that you're like, hey, I'm actually here to help you so much that I'm going to give you something that's going to benefit you where you're at right now. Despite the fact that you're not actually ready to like join me on this journey. And people are always super appreciative.
And like all the meal plans that we share in our groups, I know we all run like different groups, like the weekly meal plans, the monthly meal plans, like whatever it is that we're doing. Like even though like maybe certain coaches post those or put those in the group, like hopefully everyone here knows like anything that's there is always fair game to everyone. Like what we have is like for everyone. And so share it. Like you could just share that in your story, like a recipe that you just did, or share and just like scroll through like the recipes for the week, just upload it in our group. They don't know if you uploaded it. They don't know if I did it. They don't know anything, sharing like you take ownership of that, like uploading the recipes for the week for our group, do you think, then do a poll, get that engagement piece of it. Do you want to check it out? Would you like me to drop your email below? Happy to send you this week's one so you can see kind of what we do during the week. Like starting to add value in those, share the actual recipe, share steps, do a reel with the steps, like starting to just, again, give back to people without expecting anything in return. And then they keep wanting to come to your page to kind of see more of those things. And then it's just further showing that you're there for them once again. And once again, people don't know that you're not the top coach. They don't know that where your rank is. They don't know what the hell the rank is. They don't know if someone says emerald, someone says diamond, someone says like whatever, 5-star. They know nothing unless you're a Beachbody coach. So you like fake it until you make it is like a very common thing. I could pretend like I have like hundreds of women that are on my team and I should have been like in Bora Bora and I should be top 10. Like I could like have that vibe and that feel. I don't know from a hole in a wall, so just share it and just like own it and don't feel like you have to like feel like you're brand new at this and can't kind of take that excitement piece, because dream big. I mean, that's what all they did, initially, are these people, they're just dreaming big and then they're just sharing that. But, no one knows anything. So let it go. Pretend like you're the king shit, like you are. All right. Coffee talk for a second here. So going back to, once again, the mentality, we all go to any restaurant, right? We're going to have breakfast. And the number one thing they're going to do right off the bat, that lady or man or whoever it is that's going to walk up is going to ask us, would you like coffee? That's every single time. It's every single customer. It's every single person that walks in that door. Server at a diner offers coffee, right? She doesn't care what you're going to say. She just wants to help you. You could say, I don't want to have coffee. You can say, I prefer tea. I want decaf. I just want water. I want that. She doesn't care. She's going to serve you in whatever you want. And she's going to be super excited to be able to help you in whatever you're wanting, right? But she's going to go and she's going to offer every single person that coffee because that's just part of what her job is. This is what we do. We're offering people our coffee. We're offering people something that we love. We're not putting words in their mouth on whether they want this or whether they don't. We are giving them the option, and we're sharing about how it's changed our lives, how it's benefited our lives, and we're inviting them to be a part of it with us. That's all you're doing. If you walked into once again, your diner and someone walked in and never offered you coffee, I don't drink coffee, but for you coffee people, you'd probably be pissed. You'd probably be like, what the heck? Where's my coffee? I need my coffee in the morning. Like that's the mentality. Once again, you just have to go into it knowing like part of your job, your number 2 part of the job, other than your own journey, is inviting people to join you. And don't overcomplicate it. Keep it so simple. This is not about you. Take that away personally. This is not about you. It's about them. You're here to serve them and whatever they need. So don't already go into it deciding what they need or don't need, because you don't know what they need and don't need. You're just giving them the chance to make that decision and letting them know what's available and that you're there to support them.
There's actually a good book that focuses on this concept. It's called Go for No.
Yep. Here we go. So then personal development, right, guys? And I know time is always like a hot mess for all of us, right? Whether you're home full time, whether you're working, whatever it is that you're doing. But I was the girl that thought this was complete fluff. Like I refused to do personal development in the beginning. And I'll tell you, my business didn't do anything. I will tell you a very clear correlation. When I started doing personal development and I started to join team calls and I started to actually do the damn thing, then things started to actually grow. And personal development, people can find ways to incorporate that in. Whether you're an avid book reader, like pick one of these three books. And whatever it is. I know everyone, like Compound Effect is one that a lot of people really, really, really love. But pick a book and start diving into it, because take this business away. Personal development is so important for so many reasons. And if you're not a book reader, like me, podcasts, listen when you're driving to and from work. Like, why not? Like, it's easy to just pass the time listening to something that's going to fuel our brains and help our brains grow. Because once again, that's another huge piece of this puzzle. It's the belief in yourself. And it's for you to kind of get that tough skin. So when you get the no, you're like, all right, cool. That's great. Let's keep going, versus I'm going to crumble in a corner because someone said no. And now I'm going to retract back and I can never invite again. Like, a no to me it doesn't matter. It's not me. It's them. They're just not ready, and it's okay.
I just want to add on that second book, Get Over Your Damn Self. It's by, I think it's Romy Nonstop. She actually came out with a second book that's it's like so phenomenal. It's called You Can Have It All. And she talks more in depth because she did build like a super successful network marketing business. Just kind of like the juggling the life routine, and just beware if you do read it, it's a little to the extreme because she runs like a big business and like has people doing all kinds of stuff with their kids, whatnot. And that's not what everybody desires, but it does give you a really good insight just into kind of like how she schedules her life and prioritizes her business and things like that. And this first one, Get Over Your Damn Self, is like, if you're not necessarily familiar with the power and the potential of network marketing and just kind of the basics of like sharing your story and branding and managing your time, it's super, super helpful. And the Compound Effect, I'm really curious who on this call has read that book. Okay. Compound Effect was, I would say to this day, one of the most impactful books that I've probably ever read starting this business, because it's not just teaching you like the power of consistent business habits. It's teaching you the power of like the compound of your daily habits of anything, like reading 10 pages a book, and over the course of a year you've read 20 books. Eating a healthy meal or two every single day versus eating a burger every day. Like, and we tend to, I wanted to throw this out there because this is why personal development matters. It makes you think differently, like engage with the world differently, show up differently. One of the things that stuck out to me when I read that was that it's not just like, if you're not evolving and progressing forward, we tend to think of it like we're sitting still, right? And in this book, it's kind of saying how the compound works in the opposite direction too. We're either accruing more wealth or accruing more debt, or we're getting healthier or we're not getting healthier. And it really starts to make you think a little bit more about like the tiny little things that we can add into our day. And it makes it a whole lot less overwhelming, because if there's small movements in that forward moving motion, that they compound to really big changes over the course of time. So if you haven't read that yet, definitely put that on your to-do list.
And if you're not a reader, then go
Audible.
for the podcast. Yeah, there's obviously Audibles. I mean, they would all have the Audibles, so that's always the option. And some people are really into podcasts as well, and these are two really great ones. Micah Folsom is actually a Beachbody coach for like a gajillion years, and she's really
like
great.
a 3-time 15 star now, I think.
Yeah, she's awesome. And so those are kind of separate. I mean, from from down below when I posted about the Slay Squad and National Morning Wake Up Call. I would probably say, you know, for brand new coaches right now, I think the nice thing about National Morning Wake Up Call and Slay Squad is because they really have a lot of things that people can learn and tangible takeaways. But if you're in that moment of overwhelm and the only thing that you can really like say, look, I'm breaking this down, I would say it's your journey and sharing and inviting. Because once again, listening to the call isn't going to be what's going to move your business. And I think initially it's, you know, doing some of those basic things, but I always listen, you know, to and from work. Once again, that's where I kind of utilize my time, and I listen to both those during the week. And Slay Squad's once a week. It's Mondays at 8. I never get on the call. It's not a good kid time for me. So I just listen, you know, the next couple of days, you know, even if it takes me 2 days, but they're really great. So trying to find some ways to incorporate some of those in, because just like with any job, guys, like we don't walk in knowing it all. And social media and network marketing is constantly changing. There's always new things that are going. So what worked well for us 2 years ago is completely different now. So it's nice to kind of have some of these calls that actually are talking about these things and talking about how to change your practice and like what to do and what's different. Because if I didn't listen, then I wouldn't know. And that's where you kind of just get stuck. So really trying to find those times to listen, and don't do them when they're going to affect family time, but you can, I mean, there's usually plenty of ways driving that you could do it. You don't have
Laundry, cooking,
yeah, when you're
walking the
cooking, throw it
dog.
on. Having a kids activities, whatever it is, like find those times. And I wanted to put this one in because I do think it's really important to kind of look at the big picture of things.
Compound effect.
And I will always just say in general, like there is nothing special about there's nothing special about what I do versus what, you know, top, you know, one coach or any one of us is. There's nothing special about us other than the fact that a lot of us in this business are just continuing to show up. Like we're staying consistent all the time in regards to, and sometimes I get that we're all kind of pulled back, but some things are, we're always consistent. We're always present. You know, we're taking steps. Maybe some days those steps are bigger than other days, and that's okay. Other days it might be hard, but we're taking those constant steps to always have that momentum. Because I guarantee you, if you go through a period and you've done nothing for weeks or done nothing for months, it is like pulling teeth to get back into it, because it's hard. And it's hard to figure out how to get that momentum going again. But when you do something, just like our workouts, right? We show up, we get up, the alarm clock, we go do our thing. That's our routine. So we can keep showing up and we keep doing it and we keep seeing results and our momentum's there and we're excited. When we don't do any of that, it's so hard to get back into it. Mm-hmm. So just think about, in general, inviting, all right? Anything is a positive thing, right? If you invited to one person a day, every one of us can invite to one person a day. Every single person can invite to one person a day. That's 30 people that you are connecting with in a month. 30 people, 360 people a year. That's 360 people more than if you didn't invite, right? Like it doesn't have to be these numbers where sometimes you hear coaches say, well, I invited to 50 people today. I invited to 100 people today. That can sound extremely overwhelming. That can sound overwhelming to me. But just think, once again, the compound effect. Like look to see if you invited to 2 people a day, guys, you can all do that. Like you can think about any person, like think about those posts, think about all the ways we talked about earlier in the call of all the different people that we can look at to have an invite. Think about if you did 5 people a day. These numbers are not big numbers for how much that we can do. And look at the volume. And 5 people a day, you could do that in bed. You could lay down as you're sleeping and fire off some invites. That's almost 2,000 people a year that you're going to be in connection with. It's not a number game because no one's a number. Like I'm not going into it saying that, but this business is a number game in regards to the more people you invite, the more people are going to eventually say yes, right? So you're going to be able to hit maybe some of those big wins that you're trying to. Maybe you're going to be able to hit that income that you're hoping for, you know, for your family. Maybe it is things like you're trying to reduce what you're doing for your current job to be home with your little. Maybe it's to pay for mortgage or daycare, like all those things, whatever it is that makes you happy and excited by this business. And if financially some of it is a reason, if you're not inviting, there's nowhere that this is going to go. It won't go. So put inviting as your number one thing. Move that up to the top of your to-do list when it comes to what you do in your business. Don't worry about the graphics. Don't worry about things looking pretty. Don't worry about always the perfect picture. Just share what you're doing. We'll commit to something so that you're excited to share about it. And then invite people to join you. That's as simple as this business is, and we overcomplicate it so much. And just be a human that's wanting to help other humans on whatever level that is. Like, that's it. But really, it's simple. Daily action is what is going to cause that growth.
I'm curious now that you just said that, like, if anyone wants to just type in the comments, like, how do you currently feel about inviting in your business? I think that's important to talk about. Ray.
Inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super inconsistent with inviting personally. I know I am.
I batch invite again. I started batch inviting again because it's just my brain does not work like it used to. I feel like for me, I do better. And this is why it's important to like find your system. I think the breaking it down to like 3 a day, 5 a day, whatever is really good to get yourself in the consistent habit. But I personally find I am more successful with getting more effective work done if I work in longer pockets of time focused on one thing versus like bouncing back and forth, because I squirrel really easily and I know that about myself. So now when I sit down to invite, I will typically send like 20 to 30 at a time, but it might be every 3 days instead of every single day. And that's what works for me. So finding a system that like you can maintain and be consistent with is really important. And I throw that out there because sometimes people are like, I can't, my brain like doesn't do that every single day. Then do it 4 times a week. And like say on those 4 days, you're going to take 20 minutes and you're going to send 10 invites, right? It's the same thing as long as you're tracking to get kind of the same amount of numbers done in a weekly time span.
And to go back, like I think sometimes newer coaches, I do think that having more of that like consistent, like this is just what I'm doing, kind of creates that habit. And once you kind of get that habit down, then it's like totally like you do whatever works for you. Like when I'm in the hospital, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like, like I don't, it's a mess. Like I don't do as much as I should. So I utilize like Thursday and Friday as working a lot longer hours, but like do a lot there that makes up for, but that just what works for me. And then I spend most of my other times just following up. So like I'm sending out all the invites a lot on Thursdays and Fridays. And then during that week is when I'm following up to and from work and doing the voice messaging and those types of things. That works well for me, but you have to see what works best for you. But if you're not in the habit of even inviting, what I get nervous is if sometimes people are like, well, I'm going to invite on Sunday and I'm going to go invite on like Tuesday. Very quickly, Sunday and Tuesday go out the window because it's not a routine for you. So it's not something that's like those habits. So figure out what works for you. And even if it is going back to what we talked about before, is making that list, maybe Sunday night, of all the people that you want to reach out to this week. And then find the time that works for you. Maybe all those people, you're actually going to just send it out on Friday because you aren't like, as long as you're connected to all those people, that's awesome. No matter when you did it, whether it was in little bits or whether it was all, but the bottom line is you gotta find what works for you so that inviting is a consistent thing, because the more you do it, it's so easy. It just rolls off. So those conversations that you're struggling with become really easy. They just kind of roll because you're just so used to having those conversations over and over, and you're going to mess up. It's totally fine. We all did. We still do. It's normal. And you know what? It's kind of funny when they hear my kids like screaming in the background, and I'm like, oh God, I'm like, sorry. Or my dog is literally like going crazy right now. And I'm like, shit, I'm so sorry. Or my calls, the windshield wipers are like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, wow, I'm annoying, huh? I'm like, maybe I should have picked a better time. But those are the things that they just want to hear you. And you're taking your time to kind of, they're important enough that you're going to call them even when it's sometimes not the best time in the world. But it's trying to be that consistent of inviting, guys, because you all have it in you. You all sign up to be a coach because you loved something about this, something about what it gave to you, what it did for you. And right, this community, like everything, and so many of you haven't even had a chance to be in like the team stuff. Like it's like,
I'm alive.
It's coming. What'd you say, Ray?
I'm alive. Why I'll never stop sharing this. I'll never. Even if I always do it in my part-time Ray way, like I'll never stop. I'm alive. If there's someone else out there that could literally be alive from this also, great. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know if y'all know my story. Some of you guys don't know my story, but
Ray's story is crazy and amazing.
Very crazy. Yeah. But the personal development, guys, that's the key. That's why I'm alive. I would say that was the piece on top. So don't push that aside.
No.
I think I just want to like full circle moment this, that it's not necessarily just about creating the habit of doing the inviting. It's knowing why you're doing it. It's knowing why you're doing it for yourself personally. Like it's reconnecting to why you joined this journey, like who you were before you started, how you felt, like what kind of mental state you were in emotionally, like lacking community support, financial struggle, whatever it is that brought you into this community and how things have changed for you. Like that is what you're doing when you're giving this, but also knowing for you personally, like why you're building your business. And I personally have found when I have very like clear clarity of what I'm wanting to do in my business, like the inviting portion is just like easy, because you have an idea of like the target you're aiming for versus when we're kind of just like, cool, I'm gonna hit Success Club, like see what happens. There's less intention behind it. So I think having that the mental intention and having the pace that you feel like you can maintain working at is really important too.
All right, ladies, everyone stayed on really late and we really appreciate you guys getting on. We really appreciate it. We hope that there is some good takeaways for you guys. I know we probably could go on and on and on, but we won't do that tonight. We'll save that for another day. But as always, we would love to hear if there are certain things you guys feel like you really need to hear and learn more about. Like that's where we can use these twice a month kind of calls. We'd like to bring in some guest speakers if there are certain things that you think are everyone like should really hear. Maybe someone is another coach that's rocking it. We're going to actually invite every one of our team to do some too, but we're just really excited that you guys joined on, and we're hopefully going to see it continue to grow for more and more people. But we're going to do a little pick, guys.
I was going to say picture time.
All right, let's do boomerang. All right, guys.
Yeah,
Ready, set, connect. Oh, Dina, move around. What are you doing?
I was getting a picture.
Okay, good. All right, well, you're like all right, guys, thank you so much. And yes, we will share the recording in the group so, other people can take a peek, and hope you guys have a wonderful night.
Good night. Bye.